Good afternoon. Thank you, Senator, very much. I'm here to announce the formation of the House Senate Fiscal Responsibility Working Group, which is the official name that we've given this effort. As the Senator said, this effort has come out of the experience over the stimulus debate and the passage of the spending bill several weeks ago. If you recall, House Republicans had a plan. We offered an alternative recovery plan that even applying some of the analysis of President Obama's economic team, we demonstrated that our plan, and believed our plan, could create twice as many jobs at half the cost. And because of the series of events and the fact that the stimulus bill that we proffered wasn't included in the bill at all, you saw a unanimous Republican vote in the House against the Democrat-formed bill. Well, that vote has been taken, but we feel we have a constitutional obligation, we have a duty to our constituents, as the Senator said, to make sure that taxpayer dollars are spent wisely. The mission of a stimulus bill is and should be, and should continue to be, the creation, the preservation, and protection of jobs. And that will be our focus as this group gets up off the ground. Now, we also see the trend, as Senator Thune said, that we are experiencing now. We had a $750 billion bailout bill in the fall. We had an additional $800 billion stimulus bill. We did almost a $500 billion omnibus in the House yesterday. That was a bill that, frankly, had 9,000 earmarks. We questioned the proper oversight of the expenditure of those monies as well. And I'm hopeful that this effort, once it gets underway, very focused on the stimulus bill, could also be mindful of the potential for waste, and perhaps we could come up with, and we'll report to this administration on ways we feel we could stop the unnecessary spending and waste, and frankly refocus that on job creation itself. Now, we hear just today, as the announcing of the budget has come through, that we are in store for yet even more expenditures and more money to be flushed out of this town in rapid course. If you look at the proposal of the TARP 2 money, an additional $750 billion. The alarming statement made today by the Speaker makes this group's work all the more relevant. When the Speaker, Pelosi, said today that she would advocate raising taxes even quicker and more so than what's being advocated in the budget, that gives us all a lot of concern, because how is this money going to be spent on the part of the taxpayers of this country, the part of the American people? Again, we feel we have a constitutional obligation to be mindful of the percentage of taxation that this government imposes on the families each and every day as they struggle up under one of the most extraordinary economically challenging times that we've experienced. We have assembled some of the group that is in the House that will be working in this effort. We're going to employ new technologies and innovative ways to not only receive input from across the country on this, but also to formulate the other information that we're going to have in tracking the expenditure of the dollars. First up is the ranking member of the Budget Committee from Wisconsin, Paul Ryan.
Thanks, Eric. We're about to spend a staggering amount of money. The federal government just a couple weeks ago passed a bill to pass $787 billion of spending. Throw on borrowing costs over $1 trillion. Yesterday we passed a bill $410 billion in new spending, 9,000 earmarks. Today we get a budget that brings the federal government to its largest size since World War II. It's really quite breathtaking. These bills that have passed through Congress, the stimulus was over 1,000 pages. No member of Congress read it. Nobody in the American economy, no taxpayer had a chance to read it. This omnibus bill that passed, over 1,000 pages. No member of Congress had a chance to read it before voting on it. No American had a chance to see it and read it. So we're going to shovel all of this money out the door in a breathtaking and staggering amount. We know that waste will occur. The question is, will we see it occur? And so what we have decided to do as stewards of the taxpayer is to watch this money, insist on transparency, insist on accountability, and make sure that we can do whatever we can to make sure that taxpayer dollars are not going to get wasted. And we fear, though, however, with all this money going out the door, this taxing, this borrowing, this spending at unprecedented levels is going to waste a lot of taxpayers' hard-earned money. And so we are going to try and stand in the way of that by making sure that there's accountability and transparency so we can do our best to prevent this kind of waste, which we fear will occur.
Thank you, Paul. Also part of the House Senate Fiscal Accountability Working Group will be Darrell Issa, the ranking member on the Oversight Committee in the House.
Thank you, Eric. I'm not an appropriator. I'm not a budgeteer. I don't serve on Ways and Means. Since January 2007, when I took over the Domestic Policy Subcommittee of Government Reform, and now the full committee as ranking member, I've served on government oversight and reform, a committee who has no input as to how much money is spent, but after, in fact, it's appropriated and authorized, has an obligation to see if it's spent in the way that the legislation said it was to be spent. Very clearly, my committee has a huge challenge going forward, along with all of us in the House, and that is that this money was thrown into piles so quickly that, well, the President says that the stimulus package has no earmarks. Senator Harry Reid says $8 billion, but it goes to his maglev project to bring a high-speed rail from Disneyland to Las Vegas. Now, that's a problem. It's a problem like thousands of others that our committee is going to have to figure out. Was that a hidden earmark? Can you call a train that will take decades to build with, in some cases, technology that doesn't exist? Is that, in fact, timely, targeted, and temporary? We have an obligation to do that. We look forward to looking at that and many other examples. Mostly, we hope to do it on a bipartisan basis. We've made it clear, with trillions of dollars of taxpayers' money either pledged or committed in actual dollars, we have an obligation to make sure that it not be wasted, or in fact, smart people who took us down this road of ruin in the subprime meltdown don't in fact get richer, as we all saw happen when Merrill Lynch was bought out by B of A, and with the very money that these companies were being bought out with, which was our money, we saw billions of dollars worth of bonuses going out, something that smart people would do, government wouldn't be prepared to deal with. We hope to make sure that doesn't happen in the future. We're committed to do so. We're committed to do so on a partisan basis or a bipartisan basis.
Thank you, Darrell. Also be part of this effort is the Republican ranking member of the Joint Economic Committee, Kevin Brady.
Here, the federal government is getting set to simply rain cash down upon America. We want to know where these dollars land and if it grows jobs as promised. Now, the White House has set up a website to monitor itself. I'm not sure the American public believes that the White House holding the White House accountable is really good enough for them. So we're going to create the types of tools that let American taxpayers judge for themselves how these dollars are being used, if they're doing what they were promised to be used for, and if it creates results. I'm looking forward to being part of this task force.
Now, I introduce former chairman of the Republican Study Committee from Texas, Jeff Fiscal.
Well, the Democrats have just completed a trifecta of triples. $1 trillion stimulus plan, $1 trillion appropriation, and $1 trillion deficit. Rarely, I cannot remember a time in American history where so few voted so fast and spend so much that our children and grandchildren will pay for the nation's health. Republicans had an alternative plan. We believe the road to recovery does not lead to the halls of Congress and the Washington, D.C. bureaucracy. We do not believe the road to recovery leads to Boston. We believe the road to recovery leads to the small businesses of Main Street. That's why our economic alternative would have put capital in the hands of small businesses to preserve jobs and grow jobs. Our plan would have ensured the family take-home pay is bigger. We would have level funded the government and not sent to our children and grandchildren. But we lost that vote. And so now trillions and trillions will be spent on behalf of the American people in voluntary contributions from taxpayers. We want to work with the President to make sure that all of these expenditures are transparent and they're accountable, and the American people can decide. Was it better to have invested their money in the government, or was it better to have invested their money in the jobs that promise their future in the American dream? I'm not doing the part.
And then the gentleman from Kansas on the Appropriations Committee will also be a part of this effort, Jerry Moran.
Very much pleased to join Senator Thune and Congressman Cantor and other members of the House and Senate in what I think is a critical, important oversight effort. I've been worried about government spending since I came to Congress 12 years ago. I'm a critic of government spending, overspending when it's Republicans in charge. I'm a critic when it's Democrats in charge. But I've never seen the magnitude of the volumes that's being spent. Certainly in the time I've been in Congress, we are spending at historic levels. And I think Congress does a poor job in determining its priorities and spending when we are methodical. We do an even worse job when we are rushing to judgment. And in the cry for do something about the economy, we have made tremendous mistakes, in my estimation, that will be detrimental not only to Americans today in their efforts to maintain employment and put food on their families' tables, but also detrimental to the generations to come. And so I'm pleased that this group is being formed for oversight. We need oversight under every circumstance, but clearly at a time in which it is estimated that this year's deficit will be $1.6 trillion, the largest, 3 times the size of last year. What a humongous increase in spending and debt. Our responsibilities as members of Congress, both Republicans and Democrats, have increased dramatically. We need to rise to the occasion to make certain that Americans are protected, not only Americans of today, but our children and grandchildren. So I'm pleased that the leadership of Eric Cantor and the leadership of Senator Thune has come to the forefront, and this effort is now underway. Thank you, Eric.
Did you reach out to any Democrats to join you on this oversight?
No, we have embarked upon this, as we said earlier. We had a plan, a stimulus plan, that we felt was very focused, was smarter, was simpler, would have accomplished the mission of what a stimulus bill should be, which is to create, preserve, protect jobs. That is our mission here, and we want this stimulus bill to work. And if it doesn't work, we hope that the President will meet with us if we have suggestions on how to put this back on board.
But you lost that initial battle. Why not work with us now? So you oversight on their bill.
But this is exactly what we're doing. This is holding accountable the expenditure of these taxpayer dollars.
Question for Congressman Heiss, if at all possible. In the last week or so, President Obama did a big deal about oversight and stimulus package. I guess he did Vice President Biden a big prominent role and all that. How confident are you that President Obama can follow through that this is effective?
President Obama has been consistent since he was sworn in. You might remember even in his inaugural address, he managed to find a few words related to oversight, and he's consistently talked about reform of government. He invited many of us on the day of here, and we went on Monday to the White House to work on procurement reforms and talked at great length about how do we get the system working better with the money we have available, and how do we reach a goal of cutting the deficit we have in his 4-year term. That's wonderful, and we intend on supporting it. Now, we'd like to have the definition of the deficit to be January 3rd or so of 2007, when Speaker Pelosi and Harry Reid took over. We'd like it to be half of what it was then. If not, then half of what it was last year, not what it is this year divided by 2. So we have some areas, and this is one of the reasons that this is going to be us saying to them, and they can respond, we have to be the voice for holding the president to what he says and then working with him to accomplish it. And I actually think he's genuine. I think, and this is just one member, I can't speak for the others behind me, I think the president got rolled by Speaker Pelosi and Harry Reid. I don't think he intended to have the kind of fork thrown into this project. He said timely, temporary, and targeted. And quite frankly, it was timely. They spent a lot of money very quickly. Some of it will not be dispersed for half a decade or more, clearly not going to hit the target and not going to do what was intended. So We're going to work with the president as long as he'll work with us. Right now, it looks like he'd like to work with us. We'd like to be the strong shoulder he can lean on when Speaker Pelosi starts packing things before us.
Thank you very much.
Could you take a question on the budget? We're from Channel 5. We can cover your district. A lot of people, we're from Channel 5. We cover your district. A lot of people in your district don't have health care. And the president today said he was investing $434 billion as a down payment in universal health care. Are we in a position to be making down payments on anything?
Yeah, I heard even a larger figure than that. So I don't know the details of his health care plan for sure. I think right now the primary concern is whether families can bear up under the increased cost of health care. And we're seeing increasing numbers of families lose their jobs. If they lose their jobs, the way that the delivery system and the insurance system is set up, you almost necessarily lose your health care. We've got to address that first. People have to know because they lose their job or switch their job, they're not necessarily going to be out of luck and unable to take their kids to the hospital or to the doctor. That's the primary concern. We'll have to deal with the overall cost question as quickly as possible. Right now we're in dire economic times. We've got to ensure that people understand that we are all working towards a goal of better access to more quality care.
Could I just follow when we hear Republicans coming forward and using words like waste and flushing and shoveling, it brings to mind some seemingly images. Will Republicans be aggressive about coming forward with a health care plan that people can digest and understand and simply not saying no to what the administration wants to do?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, at the outset of this session, we have said consistently that we are going to have alternative proposals if we cannot see eye to eye with what is being proffered in the House or the Senate. And so we intend for our proposals to be out there, hopefully will be considered, can be part of the mix and part of the solution. Thank you very much.